Hey, what is up, my fearless networking friend? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. And what we're going to talk about today is active versus passive recruiting. So here's the thing. You're a network marketer. You're an entrepreneur. You're a self-employed person. You don't have hours. You don't have Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 to 2. Now, you might keep hours, right? You might have 5 to 7 p.m. at night when you get home from work, Saturdays from 9 to noon. You might have specific windows of time that you're actively building your business, where you're sitting down and you're specifically at your desk or wherever you're working and you're actively recruiting, actively gathering customers, and you're in this growth mode. But one thing I want you to understand that is an important, decision point, or just, decision points, the best way to phrase it is, okay, I'm open for business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of whether I'm sitting at my desk actively growing my business. And I think you're going to be a lot better off, especially if you're part-time, most certainly if you're full-time, if you can turn your radar on, if you will, and be in an open recruiting mode. Like my business, I'm 7-Eleven, man. I'm open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when an opportunity, passes by, or you pass by an opportunity, or something happens where you didn't expect it, you're able to seize the opportunity. You're able to capitalize on that recruiting or customer acquisition opportunity. And you would think that every network marketer would be in this mode, that they would seize the opportunities that were put in front of them. I'll give you a quick example. My wife was at a show at somebody's house, and it was for a clothing company, and the woman giving the presentation, this is a little off subject, but gives you an example of what I mean. My wife said, "Hey, look, I want to buy some of this stuff." She's a buyer. She was ready to buy some of this stuff. And the woman, and this is actually at an active presentation that she's presenting her stuff. My wife says, "I want to buy some of this stuff." And she never got back to her. So she never, even in an active environment, she never seized the opportunity. My wife, in fact, followed up and said, "Hey, I would like to buy some of those clothes." And she still didn't get back to my wife. Now, what's funny is she ended up sending some broadcast email talking about some other thing, even though my wife has raised her hand multiple times saying, "I want to buy your product." So I give that example because that just goes to show you that some people they're not tuned in. So if you're of the mindset, like, I'm open for business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever the opportunity, hits me, I'm going to seize it. That means just being mentally prepared. It's like the eyes cannot see the things that they're not yet trained to see. For example, when I do, and I've done many trainings on the subject of recruiting professionals, as you guys probably are aware, one of the things in that training program, the Insider Secrets to Recruiting Professionals, I talk about this where, when you leave your house and you're driving to pick up your kids, and, what are people doing? They're driving across town, they're running errands. First of all, most people just drive to go pick up their kids, drive back home, which is fine. That's what they're doing. That's what they were, it was an errand running session. Me, on the other hand, number one, by the time I leave my driveway, I'm already on the phone. And I'm on the phone all the way to where I pick up my kids. I'll get off the phone. Probably won't be on the phone with my kids in the car, and then I'll drive back home. If I wasn't on the phone, I'm like looking around and going, is there an opportunity to grow my business? That's where I this whole I see a for sale sign for a house, or I see, an insurance agent sign or some ad for something. Who's to know whether those people are open or not until I pick up the phone and say, "Hey, look, I just saw your sign. We buy houses." Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I'm like, "Hey, do you keep your options open at all in terms of making money outside of what you're currently doing?" Is that active recruiting or passive? I suppose the active part is the fact that I acted and I picked up the phone, I made the phone call, but I was on an errand running session. It wasn't like I was sitting at my desk and actively prospecting and recruiting. I was doing another activity. And it's like we go out, and I don't do this all the time, but I've done it many times, where you're out to dinner and the server is amazing. And I've recruited servers, I've recruited bartenders, I've recruited people and I mean, my one of the managers at my bank, who I had a great engagement with. So the difference factor here is making the decision, the conscious decision, to look for opportunities everywhere that they might be, even when you're not in that active, opportunity-driven growth, I'm sitting at my desk or wherever you work, getting it done mode. So if you are in that mode, if you've opened up your eyes to see opportunities everywhere and to be open 24/7, then when those opportunities slip into your life, you're going to recognize them. Because there's a lot of people, even I mean, I've done this as a quick example. I've done this many, many times. Okay, here's a quick example, and then I'll finish this episode, just in case you have never gone through my recruiting professionals training, but this is an example. I'll give you a little extra value. So when you are running errands, like, okay, I'll do this. This is the same way I do it on my training webinar. I ask this question to the audience. First question is kind of a silly one. How many of you guys own a cell phone? I got 500 people on a webinar. 100% of the people are like, yeah, I got a cell phone, duh. Second question I ask is it humanly possible that within the last 7 days of you living your life, doing whatever, driving across town, going to the grocery store, going to the bank, picking up gas, whatever it is, that you've driven by any for sale sign for any piece of real estate? Is it possible? Is it remotely possible? And typically when I ask that question, 100% of the people go, yeah, it's possible. My last question always is, well, how many of you picked up the phone and called the realtor? And then it's exactly that, crickets. Nobody. Maybe one or two. And the one or two are people that are students of mine that own, that, you know, let's say I'm speaking to a new audience. If I was speaking to my own audience, a bunch of people would say, yeah, because they've gone through my training program. But if it was a new audience, they're going to all be going, like, I didn't do it. I don't know. What are you talking about? Love it when my dog's barking in the middle of my video, but that's okay. So that's a beautiful thing. And by the way, don't ever apologize for your kids making noise in the background or your dog, like, you know, people are jealous of the fact that you get to work from home. I hear people, oh, I'm so sorry about my kid. I'm like, don't worry about it. That's a beautiful thing. You get to work at home with your kid. Back to my point. So if I asked you the question just now, the three questions, you own a phone, have you driven by for sale sign, did you call the realtor? And you say no, well, why didn't you? Well, you didn't because you didn't look at that as an opportunity. I see that as an opportunity. So when you begin to look at things differently, then you can capitalize on opportunities that are in front of you. And so that's just like one example. But now tomorrow, when you leave your house and you see a for sale sign, you're going to be like, Falcone. You know, what am I going to do now? He said, I mean, that's an opportunity. Well, I don't know. I mean, I slow down, write the realtor's name and phone number down, pick up the phone. Hey, is Jan in? Yeah, this is Jan. Hey, Jan, Todd Falcone. How's it going? She's like, good. What can I do for you? Jan, I was just driving by your listing here in Beaver Lake Estates. Oh, great. You're interested in the home? I said, well, I live right down the street. It's a beautiful house. I'm an entrepreneur. I love working with people in the real estate community. And I just have a very simple question for you. Do you at all keep your options open in terms of making any money outside of what you're currently doing as a real estate professional? So that, you know, that's a quick example. And by the way, I didn't do this particular post to talk about recruiting professionals. But if you want to go through the training webinar that I do on it, you can go to toddfalcone.com/pros. And you can see that training, and some of that stuff will sink in for you. Because a lot of what I teach in the recruiting professionals is taking advantage of opportunities that are everywhere that most people aren't even seeing as opportunities. So active recruiting, sitting down, getting it done. Passive is taking advantage of opportunities as they come to you in your life, and being ready for them when they come. Right? What's the phrase? Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. So the more prepared you are, and it's not like you have to have stuff with you, but you could be mentally prepared to engage somebody in conversation that might, you know, come into your life when you didn't expect it. Versus I only work from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Anything outside of that, I can't talk about my business. That's a bad philosophy. The good philosophy is I'm 24/7, I'm 7-Eleven, I'm open up, anytime. And I'm not saying you got to look. I've done calls 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the. I've done probably every hour of the day. I'm not saying you wake up and start making phone calls the wee hours in the morning, but you want to have the philosophy like you don't have open and closing hours. You're open for business anytime, but you got to be willing, and have the mindset that you're going to go seize those opportunities as they come into your life. So, if you're on my podcast, love having you. If you're on my YouTube channel, love you guys too. Come on over to this website. Love to hear your comments. This particular episode, toddfalcone.com/episode 129. We'll see you next time.